Hey everyone, my name is Cole, and welcome back to Cole Protocol Films. And if you have not been on the internet this morning, Marvel has dropped their Fantastic Four trailer. This is directed by the man that did WandaVision, so that is where my concerns start, if you see by the title of this video. And I don't want to give this any fluff, all that, and introduce myself. I'm concerned about this movie, guys. I'm a diehard comic book movie fan. I believe they should be the greatest movies that are releasing because of the sheer amount of not just source material, but creativity that is invested into comics. And I guess you could say I'm an MCU hater. I love so many MCU movies. My two favorite movies of the MCU right now are the first two Captain America movies, not just because of the story and where it goes, but there's also an excellent sense of iconography in those movies, and that really gets me. But with the MCU, I have of late been more of a hater, and I want it to succeed, but they have failed time and time again. What? Are you going to look at me and tell me that She-Hulk is good, The Marvels is good, Secret Invasion is good? No. They haven't been good in years, and the only good MCU movie of late... Sorry, my cat's trying to get in the room. The only good MCU movie of late is James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which that movie's only good because James Gunn is the greatest comic book movie director of all time. So that's not because of the MCU. So let me just defend that real quick. But I see right now a lot of hopium and optimism online about Fantastic Four amongst diehard Marvel fans. And of course, I want this movie to be good. And I think that you should probably tame your expectations back a little bit, okay? Because the director of this movie is kind of more unproven. He's done more TV shows. He's even worked with Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I love that show. I have nothing against him, but more of if you're looking at projects that he's actually worked on, WandaVision is the main one. That show was only good for the first few episodes, and when I say good, I use that kind of lightly because it was interesting. You didn't know what was going on, and then they completely fumbled the last few episodes with the strange thematic and moral dilemmas that kind of painted Wanda as a just tortured person when I'm like, no, she is fucking horrible and evil human being. But, that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about WandaVision. And a big reason I wanted to talk about this is because it really bothered me in the trailer, but there is an insanely uncanny moment in the trailer. It's basically the entire trailer. And that's due to the writing, which I looked up the writers, and they are actually quite seasoned, I guess you could say. They have Thor, one of the writers of Thor Ragnarok, and then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then Black Widow. And there's a few other projects that are questionable in there, but that's where my concern lies, because then there's this strange moment in the trailer where you have Reed talking to Sue, and they're saying, before we went up into space, you couldn't be invisible. Johnny couldn't fly. And then there's a moment where Sue's saying, him, like he's always been a rock, talking about the thing. And of course, Johnny, it shows him being on fire. And when you think about it in context of the movie, if this is in the movie, unless it's like a Madam Web situation where it's like, oh, he was with my mother in the Amazon right before she died, because I see this in somewhat the same vein, not on the scale of egregiousness with how horrible the dialogue is, but I think it's definitely something that should be compared in a way. If that is in the movie, it should be concerning because you have the writers having the characters talk to each other, in a way talking to the audience, describing these characters' attributes. So I'm like, okay, are we going to actually see these characters act like themselves, or are we going to be told that they're acting like this? Are we going to see Johnny act like a airhead and kind of selfish in a way and, just kind of be a little reckless? Or are we going to be constantly told, oh yeah, he's reckless and all that? And I'm not saying it's just going to be that, but it's definitely concerning that they are describing these characters' attributes, almost force-feeding the audience, hey, these are who these characters are. So I'm like, are we going to actually get to know these characters? Are they going to be healthily translated from comic to this? Because Fantastic Four has not had a good track record in movie adaptations from the 2000s movies, which I have a lot of nostalgia for those because I grew up watching them. And then there's Fan Four Stick, which is, we don't talk about that movie, it doesn't exist. But it's definitely concerning seeing a lot of optimism saying, oh, the MCU is saved and all that, when I'm like, guys, I think we should probably tamper our expectations a bit, because of course this retro futuristic style of the Fantastic Four is interesting, but okay, are they going to be doing this self-contained, or will Marvel be the greedy scum they are and bring them into the MCU where they're interacting with the Avengers. And I know they're going to do that because they want fucking money, guys. Come on. And I don't blame them. It's definitely exciting, but it makes me wonder, okay, well, after this movie, is it just this going to be like their first Avengers and then they go into the modern world? I think that can work, but, I feel like that would also be redundant. On my drive this morning back home, I was thinking, they could always do something dumb where they use, Wayne's fucking Doctor Strange thing, and when they have those Avenger-level threats, like Avengers Doomsday, which I'll get onto that in a second, they'll just go back in time to the 60s and get the Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four stay contained in the 60s era. I think that would be more interesting, because it'd be different, because I feel like if you have something that works here, if it does work, why break it? Because, I don't know, I'm concerned to see how does this Fantastic Four actually translate into the modern world. I don't know, because you have this very unique style. I don't know what their plan is, but that and the writing in the trailer is a red flag for me, and I don't care. I don't care if I've already seen a lot of Marvel fans being assholes online. Like, one person was saying, man, I don't know why you guys are saying this is going to save the MCU, and people literally told him to kill himself, and they went to his profile and started making fun of him in the comments. So, if you're being that kind of MCU fan, go to hell. You're a piece of shit. Yeah, it's concerning, guys. I don't know why people are so optimistic about this, because if you believe Deadpool and Wolverine saved the MCU, are you crazy? You have a bargain bin director in Sean Levy, and I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm saying objectively, most of his movies you would find in a Walmart bargain bin for DVDs for $5, maybe $2 if you're lucky. He is the most Hallmark corporate director you could have picked for a movie about, with X-Men characters, with Deadpool, about outcasts. And that is concerning to me, because that's what Marvel is going with their creative decisions, picking their directors. And I believe one of the only good directors in the MCU is James Gunn, or who was, because a lot of the other directors, for example, can't remember, I'm blanking on the guys who did, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and all that. The Russo brothers, they of course got shit-mouthed by Martin Scorsese saying that they can only make amusement park rides for movies, and they tried to go make movies that weren't MCU related, and they fell on their face, and they were horrible. So, where am I going with this? With Deadpool and Wolverine being seen as this, it saved the MCU, what did it save? You have that, bargain bin director, like I mentioned. You have a movie that is not well written, it's not a good story, but it's funny, and people want to go sit down in a theater and eat their popcorn and laugh at something. So it's not something that's going to have an impact on people, and if it does, they probably need to watch more movies. But I think that Deadpool and Wolverine is actually going to be more damaging to the MCU than anything, because we all went to the movies to go see that. And why? Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, cameos, that is why. And that is now set a huge precedent, because when you found out that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doomsday, there is the egregious red flag that should be concerning. Because with the Infinity Saga, we were all excited because we've had bits and pieces of learning more about Thanos and how that was an overall collective story, and you had an attachment to that story because it's been teased. Now people only have an attachment to this Avengers Doomsday movie because it's Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU, and it is a huge cash out. It is so obvious, it's insane. And just because he's going to be in it, it's a terrible casting, for one. It should be Mads Mikkelsen. He is the only actor that should be Doctor Doom at this point. It's concerning. Guys, we literally are going to be an era of Marvel where I don't believe it. I have to see it to believe it, guys, because they're just going to be releasing these movies with a fuck ton of cameos, characters that you want to see on screen, and will it be lack of substance and effort like Deadpool and Wolverine was? And that's my concern, because once again, like I said earlier in this movie, I believe that these should be the best movies releasing. There's no reason that comic book movies, I think, should be bad, especially with all the source material. But, Marvel loves picking yes men. There's some directors like John Watts, for example. I don't know how in the world he got the Spider-Man movies, because you go look at his movies, his biggest thing was Clown, about this guy that, gets this clown nose stuck on him. He starts eating children. How does that guy get the Spider-Man compared to Sam Raimi, who made Evil Dead, for example? There is a vast difference between Clown and Evil Dead. So it's always interesting to look at the retrospective of the MCU, of their directors, and of course James Gunn was a bit of a risk, but look at how that turned out. So I'm not saying Marvel makes all terrible decisions. I just think that people need to pull back their expectations a bit with the director and writing room attached to this, because this is kind of a shot in the dark if it will be good. And I don't believe it will be. I hope it's good, but I have very low expectations with who's behind the camera and also who Marvel picked for their founding family. You know, I don't think all the castings are bad. I think Sue Storm's actually perfect. The actress they picked for her is incredible, and I feel like, I swear to God, if I see one actor or one person saying that this cast is like so underrated or something, or that they're like no names, I'm gonna lose my mind, because these are the most like corporate trendy actors they could have picked for every single character. But yeah, this has been more of a rant, but I just wanted to discuss why I'm concerned about Marvel's Fantastic Four. Curious about the future of where this will go, because it won't be a self-contained story. They need that money. It's just interesting. Of course, you saw Galactus at the end of the trailer. Didn't want to mention that. It's interesting that it looked like it was the main probably fight scene, third act, is going to be during the day, which I'm so tired of Marvel having their action scenes in the day. Like, guys, make it at night so it looks better, because your CGI has not been good these last few years. But overall, guys, I'm concerned about Fantastic Four. I don't think it'll be good. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I'm hopeful it will be good. I'm hoping it will be good, but I don't think it will be. So if you guys have any thoughts on it, let me know. Please don't be an asshole to me. I've already seen that online. I'm not in the mood. I just wanted to come out, give my opinion, guys. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, come tell me I'm wrong once this movie comes out. Hopefully it's good. And also, one of the writers of this is also writing Thunderbolts, which is a Suicide Squad ripoff. So we'll see how that goes as well. So yeah, a lot of interesting things going on in Marvel. But please like and subscribe, and hopefully stay tuned for more. So peace.